everybody, how's it going? It's Richard Dubya here. What's going on? So yes, we're back here at the Galloping Ghost, here with me and Danny Dubya.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Richard Dubya here. What's going on? So yes, it has been a while since I've posted an actual video. This is the Galloping Ghost Part 2 video. This is my second time that I went to Galloping Ghost out there in July, I believe. I was in July. I took me and my sister. We went out there and we played a whole bunch of arcade games, like 6 hours worth, just about. But yeah, we wanted to run through, you know, the games that we played, or at least most of the games that we played, and got footage for. And give you guys a little more information of these arcade games too, because I feel like, you know, that's important too, to know a little bit about the video games, not necessarily the full details of these arcade games, but just a little snippets here and there, just to give you guys an idea, and even the ports. So, first game on our list is Tank Hammond. Tank Hammond. The name was shortened from Tank Hammond to Tank Ham, so it would fit on the marquee. This miniature was developed by Konami and published by Stern. You are a grave robber collecting treasures and keys from the tomb of Tank Hammond. Treasures are optional for bonus points. Tank ports can be found on the Atari 2600, ColecoVision, Intellivision, and the VIC-20, as well as a part of the Konami Classic Series arcade hits for the Nintendo DS. There, it was called Horror Games. Now, I even picked up the port itself, as you can see, for the 2600, but I don't have the Atari yet, which I will eventually.
Here we have Tank Hammond, or Tank Hammond, where I don't know how you pronounce it. This is a game that my dad used to have in our house. We used to have this, not this exact one, but like we had this one in our house. And this is like big nostalgia for me, because I used to play this a lot. Oh my gosh. Just seeing it here, like it's just pure nostalgia for me right now. So, we're going to take a shot of the machine. Okay, and now we're going to give it a go.
You reflect in the screen.
Yeah. Let's do the best you can.
To be kids here.
Yeah.
We had 4 arcade systems as a total. We had, I believe we had Super Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm pretty sure it's Super Pac-Man. We had Tankum. We had Space Invaders, the pinball, which I don't care what anybody says, that pinball is fantastic. And we had the tabletop Missile Command. It was where it was a big glass top, you know, and you know, 2 players could play, you know, on either side of each other. You had 3 buttons and a trackball. And then one of the next games we played was called The First Funky Fighter. The First Funky Fighter. From what I could find, this was a Japan-only release, developed by Nihon Wreath and East Technology, and was distributed by Taito. This whack-a-mole clone, you press corresponding buttons to punch sharks and crocodiles to save the girl.
So I picked, oh, did I pick player, 2-player?
Yeah, it's got all these buttons on here.
Next, we played Judge Dredd. Although there are a few arcade games by this title, this one in particular was made in 1997, released by Acclaim, and developed by Gremlin. This on-rail shooter is similar to Area 51 with 3D graphics and full-motion video footage. It was interesting graphics, like similar to what you would see in like the movie, in the older 90s movies, you know, like Giant Mnemonic and stuff. Graphics like that is what you would see. I suppose, you know, similar to like Omicron and Nomad Soul, maybe kind of graphics. But yeah, really cool game. Really interesting. I had trouble, and you know, maybe I was just a little tired at the moment, but like I had trouble like distinguishing the innocents and the actual people you're supposed to shoot. And you could shoot like all this stuff in the environment too, which was pretty darn cool. You could shoot like lights and turrets and, you know, signs and whatever. And there'd be power-ups behind certain ones and stuff, and that was great. That was really, really cool. The next game on our list is Gate of Doom. Gate of Doom, also known as Dark Seal. This role-playing beat-em-up was developed and published by Data East in 1990 and 1992, and it had a sequel called Wizard Fire. Gate of Doom was ported to the PS4 and Nintendo Switch. The sequel, Wizard Fire, can also be found on the Switch on the 2010 Data East arcade classics from the Nintendo Wii.
Here we have Gate of Doom. We already played a little round of this already, but we figured, oh, what the hell, we'll play it again because it looks so cool. You guys gotta see this. So here we have the different, characters. The wizard worked good for me, so I'm going to choose her.
He's also just hoping to have one of the really cool effects, because obviously there's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That you
So
can have for
this is her
effects.
primary attack. On the right-hand side here, you see a meter. So every time you kill a bad guy, it starts to fill that meter just a little bit more. And then once you fill that meter up enough, you can set your magic off. So and I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment here, because it is really cool. It's like what they would have for like the ultimates on like Smash Brothers. Just a really over the top. Well, as over the top as this can do.
It's full.
Okay, so we're gonna hit it, and let's see, what did it give me this time? Okay, so apparently I did, okay, so now looking at that from this perspective, so the pages are flipping all the time, so if you have to time it just right to hit it on the magic where you want to go. So, like for example here, it's flipping to the fireball, to that, and then I'm going to try and hit it on the Medusa head, which when it gets a chance to. Lightning, water, tornado, come on,
Medusa.
head. And so, this is really nice.
Literally, he turns into a little Medusa.
Yeah, look at her ugly face. Oh man. Oh, she's just cruising along. It was a bright summer day.
She just wants everyone to get stoned.
Yeah.
Next one is Chiller. This light game was released by Exedy in the 1986 release, and there was an unofficial port for the NES. In this game, you are a torturer who maims, mutilates, and murders helpless NPCs. Upon watching a replay of this, I don't feel comfortable posting this in my video. It was a really interesting game, and we're very much fans of the macabre or like horror, but I will leave a link in the description to another person's gameplay of the video that actually has a little more gameplay of it to get you guys a better idea of it. The directions went by a little too fast for us to understand, what's going on in the game. But it's basically a shooting gallery in like a medieval time, and it was pretty interesting. It was pretty gruesome, and I can see why this game might not be known worldwide, but yeah, pretty interesting game nonetheless. I mean, on our list is the Real Ghostbusters, developed and published by Data East. This shoot 'em up is loosely based on the animated series. Gameplay is similar to the title Ghostbusters Sanctum of Slime for the PS3, Windows, and Xbox 360.
I know.
I really enjoyed playing it once I got the hang of it and once I understood what I was doing. I liked that the cabinet itself was gorgeous. It was littered in all this like artwork of the Real Ghostbusters, which is one of my favorite cartoon series. Next game, which we didn't get too much footage of, just because we were just mostly in it to play the game. Total Carnage. Total Carnage, released and developed by Midway Games in 1992. This shooter shares a lot of elements of Smash TV. This was ported in 1993 to the SNES, Amiga, and Amiga CD32. Later ported to MS-DOS in 1994. Total Carnage is this like shoot 'em up game that's like a little bit gory and bloody, which we love. You know, we love blood and gore. And it's kind of cartoony too, which is nice. You know, I like, you know, where it takes something that's somewhat innocent kind of cartoon style and kind of gives it a little twist and makes it a little more adult. You know, with the blood and guts and whatever. Because if you look at it, it looks like an older cartoon almost, with little tweaks here and there of 3D. You know. Our next game is Turkey Shoot. Turkey Shoot. This was made in 1994 by Williams Graphics. This light gun shooter had sharp graphics, in my opinion. Probably kind of like vector graphics a little bit, but a little more graphical than vector graphics. The story of the game goes like this. The turkeys are trying to rob places. It is your job to shoot all the turkeys and prevent the money from leaving the screen. When you shoot all the turkeys, feathers float up between the screen and clear clack.
Okay, so the next one we're playing is Turkey Shoot. Now, this is an interesting one, and you'll see that in a minute. But, yeah, basically you got a gun, and you're shooting turkeys, and you're trying to stop a heist.
There's a grenade button, too.
Yeah, there's a grenade button right there on the back. 20.
I don't know how much they caught it.
Okay.
That caught it.
Okay.
You guys have it now?
Yeah.
Next, we tried Spawn, the Demon's Hand. Spawn, the Demon's Hand. Developed and published by Capcom for Sega Dreamcast and Arcade in October 1st, 2000. It is a third-person perspective video game. It has 3 modes: Boss Rush, Team Battle, also known as Team vs. Team, and Battle Royale, which is where you kill everyone. And believe it or not, it has 37 playable characters. Holy shit.
Doesn't look like I have to do anything for started. Is it a fighter? Or?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, it looks like the 10th Doctor, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
And you get the Violator, that guy.
You know, the names are right here.
Oh. It's kind of hard to read because it's all bleeding together. But Tremor, Jessica, Spawn. Oh, just Spawn.
it was an interesting game for the most part, but like I kind of wish the controls were a little bit better. And controls, in my opinion, were a little bit clunky, and there the screen was a little bit dark, so it wasn't that easy to play. But yeah, I mean, I probably should give it another chance and, you know, see if I can do better on the game. But just because we wanted to get to more games and other stuff, and we moved on from this one. Next is a game that was basically right around the corner from Spawn, which is called Pig Out. Pig Out. You, as the pig, run around and try and eat all the food while trying to avoid the butcher and the wolf. Made by Leland and playable up to 3 players. Up to 5 jars of jam must be consumed before you can progress. It was very similar to Mappy, pretty much, but instead of like stolen goods, it was like food. And I mean, the graphics were good. I like the look of the cabinets. The controls are even pretty good too. I know my sister enjoyed it. I didn't get a chance to play it. At the time, I just didn't feel like playing that. It didn't look like a game for me, but my sister seemed to have enjoyed it. Okay. Next, we have Bagman. Bagman. Developed and published by Caldon Animation and licensed to Stern for the US in 1982. The sequel, Super Bagman, was released in 1984. The object of the game is to pick up money bags and drop them on the wheelbarrow, all while avoiding or stunning guards with a pickaxe, or avoid minecarts and elevators. Ports for this game are available on the Commodore 64, the TRS-80 color computer, released by Aardvark Action Software. The source code has been reconstructed so it can be ported to modern consoles. No idea when that will be. Next is a game that I'm usually familiar with because I played it a little bit on stream, but a little too difficult for me to play. And I mean, even though they give you unlimited continues on the Genesis version, Constructive, developed by Coffin and String Entertainment in 1988 for the arcade and the 1990 for the Genesis port. This is a vertical shooter with some guys that kind of remind me a little bit of the Gradius series. It also has a sequel called Truxton 2 in 1990, but like, I just didn't get the hang of a bullet hell shooter. It's not too much of a bullet hell, but like, it's enough of bullet hell to get me frustrated and just go, oh, I don't want to play that game anymore. But my sister got a chance to play that too while we were there. And I was kind of curious to see like how the arcade differed from the one on the Genesis. In which, from what I saw, there was practically no difference. Practically no difference other than probably the limited continues, just because it's an arcade game and you gotta make sure that you get people off of there. But yeah, I mean, overall, it looked practically the same, and it was in what looked like a generic cabinet, so I couldn't tell you what the original cabinet looked like, if that's not the original. But yeah, I mean, if you guys are into those vertical or side-scrolling shooters, I think you guys would really enjoy this game. Personally, not for me. Moving on. So next we have Mappy. Mappy. Published and developed by numerous companies, more than I can even read. The arcade version was released in March 20th, 1983, and on April 1st, 1983. It was distributed by Bally and Midway. You are a mouse cop retrieving stolen goods while avoiding the cats that are always following you. This uses the same hardware as Super Pac-Man. This game has a lot of ports, but I'm just going to tell you about the North American ports. June 13th, 2005, it came out for the Palm OS. November 2nd, 2006, for the Wii U Virtual Console. March 3rd, 2011, for the iOS. Came out for the Game Gear in 1991. And much, much more, including the Namco plug-and-play Miss Pac-Man from Jack Pacific, Xbox, PS2, PC, and GameCube. Damn, that's a lot.
Nothing I can do but avoid him, I think.
Yeah. I think this is on every like plug-and-play emulator. You know, like the ones that are just a joystick that plug into the TV. Yeah, this is on a bunch of those.
Okay, now the arcade itself was beautiful. Like, I liked the look of the arcade. And then once we actually sat down and read the directions on the side of the glass, then we understood what you have to do. It's a very tough game. I mean, it's definitely a game that you have to put some focus in and think of, you know, where the cats are that are following you, and also get to the stolen goods. But yeah, I mean, good looking game, good controls. The game worked well. Next we have Solar Fox. Solar Fox, developed by Bally Midway Manufacturing Company and published by CBS in 1981. While dodging projectiles and objects off the grid, it's like Pac-Man, but you're getting shot at, and the maze is a grid. Ports are available for the Atari 2600, ColecoVision, and Intellivision. And a cartridge was made for the Commodore 64. Solar Fox was this Pac-Man-esque kind of game where you collected like these pluses, and we had to avoid getting shot at by these guys. And you had a gun you could shoot too, but you know, you can only shoot forward, which was it was okay. But I do like how the cabinet looked, though. I mean, it had like this like loosely painted thing that made it look like a smoky kind of colorful atmosphere. Kind of, it was very interesting colors and stuff, and it's very interesting to see, like, you know, how video games were back then, you know, before like graphics that we actually enjoy. But if you guys like simple graphics, if you guys like Pac-Man, if you guys want a little more challenge than actual Pac-Man, give this a try. Next we have Bang Panic. Bang Panic, developed by Snaritsu and published by Sega in 1984 for the arcade and ported to the Sega Master in 1987. This shoot 'em up allows you to see 3 doors at a time. You shoot people who are robbing the bank and don't shoot the customers. The game is done when each door receives at least 1 or more deposits. There's also a bonus part where a boy has a bunch of hats. You shoot all the hats and you get a bonus. This was one of the games that I really enjoyed, and I'm glad that I had a chance to play it. It's a very easy game to pick up too. I mean, essentially you are a sheriff, and you go around, you shoot the bad guys, you shoot the hats that the boy has, and you don't shoot the customers. And as soon as you fill up like the 12 boxes, because of them dropping off deposits, then the level is over and you can continue on. It took me a couple tries to figure that out, but again, it's a very easy game to pick up. It's good graphics, like I would say NES graphics, to say the least. It was a nice, random game for me to pick to play, and it actually turned out to be really fun. Like I enjoyed it. Like I would recommend this game to those of you that like those kind of games. It's really simple to pick up. Last but not least, we couldn't leave here without playing Heavy Barrel! Developed and published by Data East in 1987, this overhead run and gun, you infiltrate the base and kill the enemy leader. The bosses are easy for the most part, but it is recommended to get power-ups like flamethrower and frag grenades. This game can be described as a top-down Contra-Light in my opinion. You can get what people like to call the Big White Cran of Doom, also known as the Heavy Barrel, by collecting keys from red enemies and opening certain boxes, collecting about 6 parts. This was ported to Quicksilver. This was ported by Quicksilver Software to the Apple II, DOS, NES in February of 2010. Port was also released for the Wii as part of the Data East Arcade Classics. That's right, Heavy Barrel, one of my favorite games. One of my favorite retro games right now. And a game I recently beat on my stream, but yeah, definitely a game that's always worth playing again and again and again. It's a lot of fun, especially when you get the Big White Cran of Doom, as it's referred to sometimes. And yeah, thanks to my buddy Megadan29. I believe it was the first stream I've watched of his, and I'll have to go back and actually look at his streams and see, like, if that was my first stream that I've ever encountered him. But yeah, that's one of the streams that got me addicted to Megadan. But yeah, I mean, awesome game. You throw some freaking bomb, dude. But yes, it's a must for anybody. If you're going to the Galloping Ghost, definitely make that on your list. If not the last on your list to play before you leave. But yeah, that's it for Galloping Ghost Part 2. Eventually, there's going to be a Part 3 to this, because on Part 3, and possibly Part 4, we're going to go to the pinball room. Now, I know you guys see the arcade. You saw me play some games in the first one. You saw me play some arcades in the second one. But you know what? For number 3, we're going to play some pinball. But, yeah, that won't be for some time, though. Especially because of Christmas rolling around and birthdays. It's kind of hard to warrant spending that money and going down to Illinois. But next year, depending on what conventions I go to, I might be able to go to the Galloping Ghost. But other than that, really appreciate you guys showing up. Really appreciate you guys checking out my video. You guys are awesome. Special thanks to my sister. She is one of my good buddies. And hopefully we'll see her on the channel again when we go for the pinball room. But this has gone on long enough. So, this is Richard Dubya, wishing you a good morning, good afternoon, a good whatever. Catch you guys later.